So hello everyone, and happy to be here with you, and thank you for all the chats and good mornings. So as we start, I want to say that there's a famous European philosophical statement by Descartes, where he said, "I think, therefore I am." And if we want to restate that in Buddhist terms, perhaps we would say, I relate, therefore I am. That an essential part of what it means to be a self, to be engaged in the world, is to be relating to things. And we relate to things in all kinds of ways. Most simplistically, we relate for or against or neutral. We either want something, we don't want something, or we're kind of indifferent to it. And but predominantly the indifferent or neutral is kind of rare. And there's generally always relating to something. And if you look at your thinking, thinking is generally about some kind of relationship that's going on between ourselves and something else, or commenting on a relationship. And it's the relating that is itself perpetuating, but it's also tends to, that's where the locus is of finding freedom. We want to understand what we're contributing to this relating, what we're doing there, and how we're caught or holding on, or somehow putting much more energy and effort that's needed to be concerned with our relationships. So we're always relating, and sometimes the relating is a little bit separate in the sense that we're thinking about the relationships and thinking about how we want or don't want or something. And Buddhist practice is not only to simplify that relating, so there's a lot of extra energy going into how we are involved with things of the world and people in the world and all kinds of things, or how we relate, extra effort in how we relate to ourselves and how we think about ourselves, how we're involved with ourselves and the parts of ourselves, our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts. And we could be at war with them, or we could love them, or hold on to them, or trying to make something out of them. And meditation is a way of simplifying the relationship. And what we discover in that simplification is that hostility and greed and criticism and fear take a lot of energy. And there is a way in which some of the more wonderful qualities, the healthy qualities that we have inside, when we're able to settle enough, actually take less work, take less energy. When we relate to our experience with kindness, there's a way in which that kindness can kind of float up or just kind of be there in a simple way. We don't have to work at it so much. Compassion is not something we have to work on as we get settled and deeper connected to ourselves. And the pathway to that is mindfulness. Mindfulness is helping us understand what we're doing that's extra, where we put our energy and our relating into, so that we maybe can relate to the mindfulness more than everything else. We relate to being aware, but from that awareness that is more of an opening or more of a allowing awareness to operate than it is a doing or applying or putting a lot of energy in. And of course there is some effort that goes into being mindful, but the art of it is to move to that place, to find that place where we are clearly alert to the present moment and really here, but it's from a place that's not so willed or not so self-directed. It's more of a natural functioning or a deep place inside where the effort doesn't have to be so forceful, willful, or all the extra energy is put aside. So, so it turns out that kindness, care, is a part and parcel of this kind of movement towards a place where we're actually making less effort. So in the effort to be kind in our meditation, to talk to ourselves in kind ways, to have a kind attitude towards ourselves, the principle is see if you can find that in the place where there's not a lot of effort to do so. It's more like getting quieter, a letting go, the recognition of a softer place inside where it seems that kindness or maybe almost resides or is allowed to be there. It does require some letting go. And maybe easier, it requires no longer believing the ways that we relate that have to do with anger or fear or annoyance or greed or self-building or self-creating a self and trying to get away from things and trying to fix things and trying to defend ourselves and all these things we do that take a lot of effort. We don't want to say there's anything inherently wrong with all those things, but it's just a lot of work. And there's a way in kindness and mindfulness that doesn't require so much work. So to take a meditation posture and to close your eyes and take one deep inhale, and on the exhale, settle in as deep within as you can. A deep inhale again, and as if you're just a rock which is dropped into a lake, and as you exhale, that rock just settles into the bottom of the lake. Take a deep breath and drop in on the exhale. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And seeing if you can relax and soften parts of your body. The shoulders, your chest, your belly, then maybe your legs, knees, thighs can soften. And maybe softening around the mouth and the rest of the face. And being aware is one of the most precious activities that we can do. To be alert in a relaxed and peaceful way. And if you drop inside, if you allow for the deepest parts of you to open up, what is the awareness like there? What is it to be aware from there? And might you see two things? Might you see how you're trying to be aware, and how there might be awareness which doesn't require so much trying. The trying might be in the area of the brain. And being aware without so much trying can be anywhere. Sometimes it's felt in the area of the heart. And as we sit here now, you might also see if closely connected to being alert, aware, in a soft, relaxed, persistent way, there might also be kindness. If you are going to think kindly, to relate kindly to whatever is occurring. To be still and gaze upon all things kindly. Where the kindness arises from some place that doesn't require much energy and effort. It arises maybe when you let go of extra effort, extra doing, the thinking about other places and times, relating to yourself in ways which are harsh or stressful. Like a rock that drops to the bottom of a pure, clear lake. Let yourself drop inside to the place deep within, where awareness seems more clear and effortless, and kindness can be. Be still and gaze upon all things kindly. What is awareness like? From that place within that is most quiet, most still. And in that place where awareness is most quiet and most still, can you bring forth simple kindness? Be still and gaze upon all things kindly. And as we come to the end of this sitting, I'll offer you a little kind of image for your imagination, scenario for your imagination. Imagine that you're sitting in a spot, meditating in a place that feels very safe and a place you feel very content, cozy and comfortable, where it's just nice to sit here. Perhaps there's a panoramic view of the countryside around you, on top of a hill, or panoramic view out the windows. Maybe you even have a meditation shawl around you that helps you feel kind of settled and happy to be just alive and be here, and as if nothing needs to happen, nothing's required of you. You're just here, sitting, very content. And without changing any of that, with no need to do anything, you gaze in your mind's eye, you gaze out across the world, encompassing the whole world and everyone in it, sitting content, peaceful, open, as if you're looking out across a countryside. And then see, can you find within you, in this content place, a very simple kindness, friendliness, gentleness, goodwill, as an attitude, as a way of being that arises because you're so content and needing nothing to do and just here in a peaceful way. And be still, and for a few moments gaze across the world in kindness. Wishing, may all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. May all beings also be touched and nourished by peace, contentment, safety. And may it be as I get up from this meditation and start my day, or continue my day, or may you be a beacon of peace and well-being and safety for all beings. What happened to the community meeting yesterday, someone asks. I washed my hair for nothing. So sorry. You probably put on your best clothes. Yes, I wasn't able to do it yesterday, and I'd forgotten that it was on the calendar. Actually, someone even a week before it reminded me to take it off, and I forgot to do that even. So I apologize for those of you who came, and I like these community meetings, so we'll do another one at some point soon, maybe in a couple of weeks. Okay, so so the topics of these days is right speech as the third factor of the eight-factored path, the Eightfold path that the Buddha taught. And And one of the things that is nice about, or nice to think about, or be inspired by these four different aspects of right speech. These are speaking the truth, speaking in a way that for concord, bringing people, uniting people, developing connections with people that are healthy. And today the topic will be basically kind speech and also valued speech, purposeful speech. And part of this is that these qualities, these kinds of speech, are an expression or manifestation of awakening, of being free, of the kind of freedom that Buddhism emphasizes. So if you ask, what is an enlightened person like in Buddhism? One of the ways you can answer that, you would say, they would speak the truth. They would speak for the purposes of uniting people and developing rich connections between people. They would speak for the purpose of, they would speak kindly, and they would speak for good purpose. And so the whole factors of Eightfold Path, can all of them be seen as something that wells up or exists or is there for a person who has some degree of spiritual freedom. And they're not so effortful in that way. They almost as if they arise out of that freedom, which is freedom from stress, freedom from extra effort, the effort of the ego, of self-centeredness, the effort of greed, or the effort of hate, or fear, or confusion. And it's really remarkable to feel something inside settle and become peaceful or still, and feel how that, or experience how from that, it's not a place of dullness, it's not a place of inactivity or inertia, but from that place there can be speech and actions and ways of looking and seeing in the world. And so these Eightfold Paths are all aspects of that, as well as practices we can take on so we can find that realization, so that we can get to the place of freedom. And so, but it's helpful to know that what we're looking for as we practice the Eightfold Path on the way to realization is we're looking for freedom from stress, freedom from clinging, freedom from a lot of extra effort in the middle of the persistent effort to engage in the Eightfold Path. So, 4 forms of right speech. And the third, and I'm going to talk about the third and the fourth today. And the third, I'd like to read you the passage about the opposite of right speech in this third form. One speaks harshly. One utters words that are rough, hard, hurtful to others, offensive to others, bordering on anger, unconducive to concentration. So the second one was divisive speech, and that's one that divides people, like slander, divides people and separates people. This third category has to do with speech which is there that hurts the person we're talking to. It doesn't necessarily divide them with anybody else, but it hurts the person. So we speak harshly, but this word harsh encompasses also offensive and hurtful speech that is done. But it includes just raising our voice in a particular way that is so assertive and aggressive and painful that even saying, the words might be kind, but the tone of voice is really hard to hear and implies there's anger or harshness or animosity in the words themselves. And this description of these kinds of words ends with, are not conducive to concentration. Concentration, I think of as I've talked about before, as unification, as becoming whole or settled or stable, grounded, composed in oneself. The word concentration, samadhi, is a rich word in Buddhism, that the English word doesn't really capture the richness of it. And so there are ways of talking that take us away from that, agitate us so much. And so to speak the opposite of this harsh speech is also speech that allows us to settle, become whole, find that place of beautiful, vital, soft stillness inside and freedom inside that samadhi is pointing to. So the opposite of this harsh speech is here. Abandoning harsh speech. One abstains from harsh speech. One speaks words that are gentle, pleasing to the ear, lovable, as go to the heart, are courteous, desired by many, and agreeable to many. So here there's a lot of care in how we speak. And so to speak in ways that then, it doesn't say here conducive to concentration, but I think that's implied. And this is a very important quality, this idea that not conducive to concentration and conducive to concentration. Because there's something about the deep subtleness and stillness of concentration, which is a powerful reference point for finding our way, how to speak. Because one could try to speak these ways here, try to speak gentle and pleasing and lovable and courteous and desired by many, but there's so much effort and strain to do so. I remember the very first, I think I mentioned this already, the very first time I intentionally tried to be kind to someone. I was standing in the stairwell in first year in college in the dormitories, and there was a woman, another freshman that I guess maybe I liked her or something, and I just kind of put on all the kindness I could, and it was so artificial and so saccharine, I think, that that didn't really work in the way that I hoped it would work. So it certainly took a lot of effort on my part. But this place where these kind speech can come from, and gentle, pleasing to the ear, lovable, and go to the heart. So how do we take care of our speech and really look at our speech and be with our speech? Take so much care that it's really nice for the people to hear it. It's pleasant and enjoyable. There's a little saying that people will spend more time choosing their clothes to wear than choosing what they say. And then there's also a saying that if you don't have something to contribute, maybe don't say it. So have some care about what we speak. And this particularly applies also that to the fourth of the right speech. Sometimes it's called no idle chatter, no idle speech. The meaning, it's actually two words in Pali that make up this expression, and both of them can mean foolish and nonsense. So don't speak nonsense. Don't have foolish speech. And what I think the heart of this means, don't speak words that have no purpose. And now idle speech sometimes, and just talking about the weather, just chatting about things with people without any, about simple things, and it can have a very important purpose of making connections and having a kind and supportive warmth between people. But don't speak nonsense. Don't speak about things that you don't know about and just make things up. Don't talk about things that have no valued and important purpose, except just to chatter foolishly about the things and all that. And so here's the opposite of this. Well, here's a full description of what this means about nonsense. One speaks at the wrong time, speaks what is not fact, speaks what is useless, speaks contrary to the Dhamma, are worthless, and at the wrong time he speaks such words as are worthless, unreasonable, immoderate, and unbeneficial. Now the right speech one goes like this. One speaks at the right time, speaks what is fact, speaks what is good, speaks on the Dhamma and the discipline, speaks at the right time such words as are worth recording, reasonable, moderate, and beneficial. So it could be, the right speech here, instead of nonsense, it might be interesting to translate it as purposeful speech, or beneficial speech, speech that has a beneficial purpose. And even if it's idle chatter, it can still be beneficial for creating community. But I think this idea of living a purposeful life, and have purposeful speech really supports the movement to freedom and liberation, can be expression of our care and our love for the world. And why not? Provided that that sense of purposefulness can also arise not with a place where it doesn't take a lot of energy. It's not or stress or strain. It comes from this place of settledness, of composed, of stillness that we can find. And then to live a purposeful life that supports that doesn't mess with that or agitate that. To speak in a purposeful way for the benefit of ourselves and for the benefit of others. And if our speech doesn't benefit either self or others, ideally both, maybe there is a possibility that what's most valuable is silence. Silence in Buddhism gets a wonderful adjective when it's done really well and it's proper. It's called noble silence. And sometimes silence is how people can connect. In silence, there's a wonderful connection and truth-telling and truth meeting. So, kind speech, supportive speech supports other people, and purposeful speech that has the purpose of benefiting this world that we live in. To do so is definitely part of the path to liberation, and it is also an expression of liberation. So may you enjoy your speech, your talking. Maybe you thrive in talking when you want to talk, and may it be that you value how you speak, because you speak in truthful ways, in concord, in ways that benefit and support people, and in ways that have a beneficial purpose. So thank you so much for this. And then tomorrow we'll start the next factor of the Eightfold Path, which is right action. And we'll see that we're getting into, the movement of liberation spreads outwards now into how we act in the world. So, thank you.